So much in the news right now about TikTok. The US version, is it going to stay? Is it going to go? Is Mr. Beast going to buy it? Is Mr. Wonderful going to buy it? Let's take a look at what's actually going on at TikTok money-wise to figure out who can do this and who cannot. Why does everyone want to buy TikTok? Massive growth. They're taking massive share from $5 billion in revenue in 2022 to 2025. Also big user growth going on at TikTok, although it's slowing. What we don't know right now is the profit margin assumptions. So let's take a look at other social media. Social media is massively profitable. Take a look at Meta, 80% gross margins and 34% net income margins. That means every dollar they make in revenue, 34% goes to the bottom line. Google's a little muddier. They've got a lot of other businesses. And take a look at Snapchat here. They've been very negative on the margin business. It's finally just turning around here. Let's take a look at Twitter as well. Here's the Twitter numbers before they went private. $5 billion in revenue. And where did Elon buy this company? $44 billion he paid. It is a 8.5 times revenue multiple. Let's use that takeout and some net income numbers to figure out what TikTok is worth. So what's TikTok worth? Let's use next year's revenue number and let's round it up to $10 billion, right? Two different valuation metrics. Number one, remember Meta's net income was about 34%? Well, let's give TikTok credit eventually for about 25% net income margins. 25% of this 10 billion means net income will be about 2.5 a year eventually. And what kind of multiple does that net income deserve? We're going to use a 30 multiple because the company is still growing, and that's a pretty high multiple, and we get a net of $75 billion in value for TikTok United States. Twitter's valuation, remember, Twitter got taken out at 8.5 times revenue. Well, let's just multiply that by 10, and we get an $85 billion valuation for TikTok. So at the end of the day, TikTok is probably worth somewhere between $70 and $90 billion on a takeout. So remember the $70-90 billion valuation for TikTok. Let's use $80 billion, and let's look again back at the Twitter transaction. He paid $44 billion for it, and he was only able to get $13 billion in debt from the banks. We think on the TikTok transaction, the banks could lend up to, I'm gonna call it $20 billion. After that, I think it's gonna be a pretty big stretch, which would mean the buyer would need to come up with assets, equity, friend equity, $60 billion. Individually, there are very few people who can do this. I do not know the net worth of Mr. Beast or Mr. Wonderful. I will bet you they cannot afford this. I will bet you that the only people that can afford it are the mega billionaires like Elon, although he's already fairly levered on the Twitter transaction, or Jeff Bezos, or Bill Gates, or someone like that on the individual side. But far more likely is the buyer of a TikTok US would be one of the mega cap trillion-dollar companies in the man. That would be Apple, that would be Meta, that would be someone like that would have to come and buy this thing because $80 billion is a massive pill to swallow and the amount of buyers is minuscule. So should be a really interesting end to the TikTok America saga and who ends up with it. We think it's a pretty small group of people or companies that could buy this thing. Thanks so much for everything you do. Thanks for all the YouTube subscriptions. We appreciate it. If there's anything you want to see, please let us know.